it's Teresa. Today is a super fun collab that I'm going to tell you about in a couple minutes. We're going to go ahead and get into the crafts though. We have one of the arch window things from Dollar Tree. I just went ahead and took off that little plaque part in the front, and we're going to disassemble it. I don't know if you knew this, but they come apart. I found that out when I was watching Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs, and I was like, what? They come apart? And she was like, oh yeah, this way you can use it, the backside if you don't need the backside for your project. I was like, well, that's awesome. I'm going to use the backside for the back, but that's okay. First thing I'm going to do is just kind of give it a quick little distressing, a little detail to it. I want to show off some of that wood grain, that faux wood grain in the frame. We're just using Waverly chalk paint in mineral, and I'm just going to go through it pretty quick here. Not too much terrible detail. And what's nice, since it's so plasticky, is if you put a little too much on it, you can just rub it away. It works out really nicely. Once we're done with that, we're going to take this lace. I used it in, I think, almost every project. I am just going to hot glue. It's almost got a little bit of like a thicker part at the top. And I'm by no means a lace aficionado, so they may have specific names for different parts of this. And if they do, I'm sorry, I don't know them. So I'm just going to hot glue the top part of it first. And what we'll be doing is keeping this all as like one panel on the bottom, and I'll show you how we're going to go about the rest of it. I'll trim off the side because this is obviously going to end up with the backing back on it, like I mentioned. And now what we'll do is we are just going to glue down the bottom part. And I use my lovely little spatula, and here it is. It's finished, the bottom. I'll glue down the sides a little bit just to kind of keep it taut as much as you can. And now we're going to do just the little middle-ish part. And for this one, I'm going to start at the bottom and then work my way up. Except I'm going to do each one of these individual cutouts separately, like I'm going to do one at a time. It didn't work right, like, you know what I mean? It wasn't going to work out trying to do like a whole row of them. Once those ones are done, we are going to do a whole panel on the top. It's just the way it kind of worked out with the lace that I had, and to do this, I'm going to start in the middle just to make sure I don't end up with tons on one side or not the other. And I imagine you know what I'm talking about by that, but so I'm going to do the bottoms of each little opening first, and then I'm going to work my way over. I don't know if this was the easiest way to do it, but it seemed to me like it was going to be the easiest, so it's just how I went. And when you're doing this, try your best not to have a lot of like overpour of hot glue. I had a couple spots on it that definitely poured a little over. You can't see it too much because of the coloration of, the hot glue compared to the whitish color of the, of the actual little frame part. I'm going to call it that, at least, the little frame part. Then we're going to trim around, of course, because obviously you don't need that much and you're not going to see it anyways. So we are done with that part. And see, I had a couple little spots of glue that I wasn't liking the way it looked, so I just added a little more glue and then added a couple little pearl beads. They're actually off of like a string that I used through a couple of different projects today, and I wanted to kind of tie a couple of the pieces in together. Now that same lace, I think for the whole project, I had like half a yard of lace. It's not even like I had that much. I have one of these little keys. I got it, I think, from Joann's. It's like one of those Tim Horton. I could be saying that wrong. I think it's Tim Horton though. And I just tie the lace on there, and then I'm going to take one of my pieces from Totally Dazzled that is, we're going to be doing a giveaway for, so stay tuned on that part. But I'm just going to glue that onto the lace, and then we're going to glue the key and the little dazzled brooch on the front as well. And I thought it was looking a little plain. It needed a little more, so I added another key. Just, a nice big glob of glue. I'll kind of just, fashion it as I think works best. And here it is, all finished. Now, like I mentioned, today is a collab with Indiana Jones and Rhonda, the Distressed Princess. Indiana Jones is an absolutely wonderful, wonderful person. I love her. She is so creative, So much fun. She really loves Disney, and I really love Disney. She did this whole video I'm showing you right now for Disney bounding. She does all kinds of things, so you definitely need to go check her out. She'll be linked for you below, of course, and check her video out today as well. And then now we have Rhonda, the Distressed Princess, and she has tons of great farmhouse videos for you to look at, all kinds of fun, more artistic view things. She's doing a giveaway too for Totally Dazzled, and I'll tell you about mine in just a few minutes. Our next DIY is going to be this little camera. It's from Dollar Tree, and we're just going to do two pretty thick coats of the Waverly chalk paint in plaster, and now I'm going over it, giving it a pretty heavy distressing with the Waverly chalk paint in mineral. These are kind of the colors that we're going with today. And once we are finished with that, I was like, I want to give it a little bit more distressing, and so I do go in with my little finger sander. The thing makes a little bit of a mess, but it's all right. It's one of those things. You tend to make a mess when you craft. And if you don't, please share your secret with me. How do you keep yourself from making such a mess? That little guy there is from Target. I'll link it below just in case you're interested in it. That's the least expensive place I was able to find it. And I did go back and add a little bit more of that chalk paint. Now we're going to go in with some Mod Podge. Now I had tons of like these little strips of that lace left over, and I was really close to throwing it away, but I decided I needed to do something with it. So I'm just going to be kind of Mod Podging a bunch of different strips to this camera. Now on this project, I was definitely inspired by a person on Instagram that I'd seen do different things, very shabby chic. And the name on the page, I believe, is Creative Designs by T. I will link it for you below though, that way you can go check it out. She has an Etsy shop, she has a Facebook, Instagram. I'll link it for you below so you can check her out. She does a lot of things with like scraps of more like paper, so it wasn't like an exact, copy of what she was making, but I'd seen her do something with a camera and I was like, oh, I have that camera and I love that. So I wanted to do something kind of in the same realm. Now on these strips of fabric, what you're going to do I decided I didn't want to stop them right where they, where the camera ends. So I did end up like wrapping them around. And I found that the easiest way to Mod Podge lace, and maybe you already knew this, was to put the Mod Podge down first and then lay down the lace and then kind of pat it. First time around, I tried like, well, let me just put the lace down and then I'll put Mod Podge on top of it, and that didn't really work out. So this was through the process of elimination. I found that this was the easiest way for me to do it. I did forget to mention that very first project you saw, I was definitely inspired by my good friend Liz, the official craft art, who I will link below as well. So now that we're done with all the Mod Podging, I'm going to go in. This is with some of that same mineral chalk paint, and I did like a quick little layer of it, and I wasn't really happy with how it was showing up, so I went in with the old faithful Folk Art Antique Wax, and it gave me exactly what I was looking for on the lace. I wanted it to give it a much like dirty and very antique look to it, which makes sense considering it's called antique wax. Now it comes in like this little circle you're supposed to use for like a picture, but I covered that same plaster chalk paint, and then the same thing with the grayish tone mineral chalk paint. And now instead of Mod Podging these little strips, I'm just going to hot glue them down because something's going to go on top of it. Can you guess what it is? It's going to be another one of those brooches from Totally Dazzled. So you'll see that in just a minute though. But you'll definitely, like I said, you're going to want to just kind of work with it, find things that work for you. I think I used like the entire little strips of that lace that I had. I don't think I ended up throwing away almost any of it. And then the same thing here, we're going in with some of the antique wax just to give it a little something, to make it show up a little bit more. You can see the lace detail a little bit more. And now we're using, like I said, one of the brooches from Totally Dazzled. I am an affiliate of theirs, so I will also link their site below for you. I'll link to these little brooch sets and everything, and that way if you want you can go take a look at them. And now the little, piece of metal on the back, I figured it wasn't going to do much for me, so I snipped it off, and now I just put like a little, small piece of a skewer, add a good amount of hot glue, and we're going to just push it down. And I thought I was done here. And then I decided, you know what? It needed something else. So we're just going to take some of those same little beads, like the little pearl beads that I was, trimming up and put little like one piece at a time on the first project. I have them in like the strands, and I'm kind of trying to make it look more like they're just slung over this. So, I wanted to glue it down because I didn't want it moving around all over the place, but at the same time, I kind of wanted to look very like haphazardly placed. Excuse me. I don't know. You'll have to let me know if you liked the look of it without them or if you like it better with them. Obviously, I left them on there. I definitely liked it better with the beads. So I'm going to show you just a couple pieces that I'm putting on there. And it's really all just about preference, and if you're going to do something similar, I would highly recommend using a smaller glue gun. This was like the last thing I did, so my glue gun that is, doesn't have a wire, that's, just one that holds a charge for a little while. It had lost its charge, so I had to go to the bigger glue gun that I don't use as often, unless I need to like put down some serious hot glue. So I would recommend using a smaller one. But I'll have the small one linked for you below too, if you're interested in that. Amazon link, of course. Now that I've put all those beads on, here it is, all finished. I love it. I'm in love with it. Like I said a minute ago, this is a totally Dazzled giveaway. They do all kinds of really fun, glitzy, glamoury stuff. Like I said, I will link them for you below. If you want to be entered into the giveaway, it is for a $25 gift card to their site. All you have to do is make sure that you comment on my video and comment on videos from both The Distressed Princess and from Indiana Jones. I'll have both of their videos linked for you in the description box, so make sure you go check them out. You're going to have a lot of really gorgeous, shabby chic, glitzy, all kinds of fun stuff to, try out and create yourself. So don't forget to go check out their channel so you can get entered into the giveaway. Now on to our next DIY. We're going to just use this glass bowl from Dollar Tree. I know, a glass bowl doesn't seem like there's a whole lot to it, but once you paint it, it just, all of those beautiful details, I just fell in love with them. Couldn't help myself. And I did already paint, if you'll see that little stand on the side, that is just done in Blue Lullaby by Folk Art. I wanted like little bits and hints of this blue. It's just a really, really pretty color. We just did, a combination of E6000 and hot glue to kind of hold it in place. I left it overnight just to be sure. And now we're, of course, going to add some more detail to it. I'd seen Sammy from Unicorn Dust Design do this, and I was like, oh, I want to give it a try. And it picked up pretty good for all the detailing that's on the bowl, but that's about where my love for it ended. I probably won't do this too much. I was like, I could have probably gotten this same effect at least just from a chip brush, but it's one of those things everybody has to just kind of try it out on their own, see if you like it, see if you don't, that kind of thing. I didn't care for it too much, so I probably won't do it again. And I went a little too heavy with the mineral chalk paint, so I went ahead and just kind of toned it down a little bit with that same plaster color. And now I'm going in with just a silver colored paint. This one is called Brushed Metal. It's also from Folk Art, and it's just giving it a little bit more to it. It's just giving it a little bit more glitz. I don't think it really gave it too much, but it's little details. Now you'll notice that this has some spots where it's missing paint, because when I was holding it, it just kind of came off. I should have Mod Podged it first, but I didn't, so it's okay. And I just kind of went over that with the same mineral chalk paint. And now I am going to wrap a little bit of the lace around. This is just pretty much like the top part of it, that's a little bit thicker. So I'm just going to wrap it around. Like I said, I just felt like it needed some kind of little detail there. I could have done twine, but since I was using this lace in so many of my projects, I just decided this was going to be the best option. And then I will again, of course, pick out a piece from my lovely collection of totally dazzled things. As I wrestle with this bowl, it keeps wanting to go in circles as I'm trying to do something to the base. And we'll just add, a fair amount of glue. We'll put it on right there, obviously. And it is finished. I've styled it just with some of those same pearl beads, a rose, just super pretty. Last one, everyone. I've got this little, I want to say it's probably meant to have like plants in it. It's from Ikea. I did that in that same blue, the blue lullaby. And then on the top, I'm just kind of giving it a little bit of a brushing, like a dry brushing with, first I did plaster, and then I did the mineral, and then I went in with that brushed silver color. And I did the brushed silver kind of all over. And then I was kind of deciding like, well, what else do I want to add to this? I ended up going with this lace ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and it's mostly because my other lace that I have is a little too thick for this. And this was my first project, so I hadn't cut any of it up yet. And I'm just going to glue that down kind of middle-ish area, wherever it looks good. And I was debating on using the pearls, and I ended up just like, no, just leave it, just the lace. And I'm going to use this brooch, and this time I am using the back part of it, the pin part, and I'll just kind of add that, like, put it through the lace. And I do end up adding a little bit of glue because it was kind of coming down a little. Now, if you know me, I like using the pool noodle for my florals, and here is with all the florals in it. Love it. I want to thank everyone for coming by. I know this is going to be such a fun and exciting month on my channel. If you don't know, I'll link it below. I've got a ton of things going on this month. I'm calling it the Crafting Because of the Brave. I'll link the videos for you below to check it out. And make sure you go over and check both Rhonda's and Annie's videos. You're going to love them if you haven't seen them before. I don't know where you've been, but make sure you go check them out and enter into the giveaway. And I will see you guys next time.